Thank you. Like electricity. Yeah, like electricity. Let it be a dance we do. When did you first dance? When did you first experience dance? Can you remember? This is really loud. Who's got the lavalier control? Who was your partner? Or did you dance alone? When did you first dance? One friend says his first memory of dancing was when he was 3 years old. His aunt had sent him out on the basketball court to dance with the team mascot between periods. He saw that huge chicken as a natural dance partner, and he swooped and twirled to the beat of the music and the roar of the crowd. Another friend remembers that his older sister wanted to learn to waltz, and he was the only dance partner available. Let it be a dance we do. I suspect only the oldest of you here remember the Patty Duke show. It was on in the 1960s. Yeah, that was almost 50 years ago. It's kind of scary. But the show was about the Duke family of Brooklyn Heights, New York. And it had this zany premise. The family's daughter, Patty, had an identical cousin, Kathy, who had been raised in Europe and who was on an extended visit. I think the visit lasted like 4 seasons. Anyway, the different upbringings of the two girls meant that they were different as night and day. As the theme song goes, Kathy adores a minuet, la ballet russe, and crepe Suzette, while Patty loves to rock and roll. Each week, the difference in culture made for a humorous situation comedy. Ballet, rock and roll. Each of us has our own assumptions about what dance is. Is there a dance that you adore? Is there a dance you love to do? For many people in this world, dance is their culture. I brought in the reading on the Obon festivals to remind us that dance can be the center of a religious ritual. For example, also, neo-pagans and many Unitarian Universalist congregations celebrate Beltane by dancing around a maypole, recreating an ancient ritual of youth and community. Last month at Simchat Torah, many Jewish congregations danced 7 times around their synagogue, carrying the Torah scrolls in a grand procession of thanksgiving. And of course, in Shin Buddhism, the Obon festival is a reminder of ancestry. When I was in Louisiana, I was introduced to a custom of going to the graveyard on All Saints' Day to clean graves of the ancestors. In this case, it was the fellow who'd been the first minister at their church. Likewise, Shin Buddhist families in Japan clean the graves during Obon, and they bring their ancestors' spirits into the village, where they're entertained with favorite songs and dances. After the dancing, the spirits are returned to their world in tiny boats. I had an opportunity to watch Oban dancing, also called Bonadori, a few years ago at Manzanar, which was a concentration camp built in the California desert during World War II. The United States War Department forced evacuation of all Japanese Americans from coastal California at the start of the war, forcing them to move into instant communities in several western states. And this is a story worth its own sermon. I won't go any farther. But at the annual pilgrimage to Manzanar concentration camp site, descendants of those who were forced into the camps gather to remember. They place wreaths on the wind-blown cemetery and clean and wash the monument placed amidst the old building foundations. After the speeches, after the reading of the names of the dead, the memorial concludes with drum music and ritual dances of Oban. Families, church groups, aging radicals, college kids, they all join in moving to the music. It's in the blood, it's in the tradition, and it's their story now. And when the dancing is done and the history is honored, the tour buses leave for rides back to LA or San Francisco or Fresno, and the ghost camp is left to the wind. Fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Do you know the backstory of our opening song? Anybody? Its composer, Rick Maston, was both a minister and a folk poet. He came to speak at Star King Seminary a few years back, and he explained that Let It Be a Dance is a song that came from tragedy. In this case, a horrific accident involving a VW microbus filled with high school girls who were all members of a dance class. The minivan was on its way home from a field trip to see Alvin Ailey in San Jose when the VW was hit by a drunk driver. Through the good times and the bad times too, let it be a dance. Rick's daughter was not among the other dance students that day. She had a cold, apparently. But the dance instructor was killed, and so were several of her friends. One friend of Rick's daughter's had her legs injured so badly that the doctors doubted she'd ever walk again, let alone dance. But Rick made a wager with the girl that in 1 year's time, she would be dancing up his driveway. And if she'd do that, he'd write a song for her dance. And the result is Let It Be a Dance. And she did, though she never did dance ballet again. By the way, Rick made the seminarians promise to tell everyone about an error in the lyrics. Take a look at hymn 311. Turn to the third page of the music. The third verse has a phrase at the bottom that says, share the laughter, bear the pain. Now that's B-E-A-R, the pain, which means sort of keep a stiff upper lip and don't show that you have that pain inside. Well, Rick's words were bear, B-A-R-E, the pain, which means share it. Don't keep it inside. And that was one of the very important messages of this hymn. In fact, he said that people should take out pencils, who has pencils, cross out the word bear, B-E-A-R, and if your handwriting is good, if you have lousy handwriting, let somebody else do this next time somebody gives this sermon, and write in B-A-R-E. Let it be a dance. Dance can transform. But what about situations where dancing is prohibited? When I was collecting stories of childhood dancing, a gay friend from Iowa told me about sitting with his mom at a wedding. On the dance floor, two women were waltzing. And he asked, "Girls dance together. Do boys ever dance together? Girls dance together. Do boys ever dance together?" His mother's answer was simple. That doesn't happen. Oh, but it does. As my friend grew up, he learned several things. That doesn't happen. And he doesn't exist. To be a gay woman or man was to not exist in those days. And even today, in most of the country, gay men, lesbians, and other gender and sexual identity minorities simply do not exist as part of our culture. For to exist is to risk death. Mark Adams, the executive director of Heartstrong, told us that at his lecture last Monday, as he described anti-gay indoctrination in fundamentalist Christian schools. But you know, when the non-existent people escaped to New York or San Francisco or Key West or Chicago, dancing was their therapy. A sea of bodies creating a new culture. It was their dance. They wrote their own book. And I've got a phone call that shows that I should have really shut this thing up, shouldn't I? No, I'm going to silence that. There we go. Wow, it's like I get phone calls all the time, too. It was dance. It was kind of cool, wasn't it? Thank you for making that sound like a recovery as opposed to an incredible gaffe. Maybe it was somebody asking me to go dancing. Oh, well, we'll never know. You know, in youth cultures today, dance isn't particularly a partner thing. It's not assumed to be men leading and women following. Dance is a communal act, and the boy-girl binaries are left behind, like the old prejudices. In San Francisco, all sorts of new dancing opportunities have appeared. There's gay country and western dance clubs, gay salsa dancing, and the dance style that captured my heart, gay-friendly square dancing. Even in the ritual world of square dancing, we found hope. Now, no doubt you have a vision in your head of what square dancing is, right? There's a older, white-haired man in a string tie. Got my string tie on. Standing sort of stiffly, and next to him on this side, is his wife, who has a skirt on with lots of petticoats. It's sort of like the painting American Gothic, you know, except there usually aren't pitchforks. And that square dance world still exists. That's the traditional world of square dancing. But in growing numbers, LGBT-friendly square dancing is there clubs springing up where anyone can take the role of lead, that's the traditional gentleman's part, or follow, the part that's reserved for ladies. At these clubs, There's actually a little more body contact than with traditional square dancing. There's a move called a swing, which is sort of like a waltz or foxtrot swing. And it's done more like a tango than like a minuet. In gay-friendly square dance, men swing women and women swing men. Men swing men, women swing women, and anyone can swing someone who is transgender, transsexual, bisexual, genderqueer, questioning, or that person can swing them. It's a vision of the world to come, created in a community center once a month. And as gay-friendly square dance spreads out from the cities, traditional straight square dance clubs are wanting to hear the new callers and dance the new dances. And here's the point of cultural contact. At a regional dance in some suburban town, the silver-haired old man is suddenly faced with another man who looks just like him, but is dancing the follow part, while his petticoated partner is being swung by a man in a dress. Or maybe it's one half of a lesbian couple. At that moment, labels are replaced by faces, and fears by laughter. Cultural barriers are danced away. Learn to follow. Learn to lead. Let it be a dance. There is a dance for everyone. What is your dance? Are you dancing on the porch to a lonely Roy Orbison song? Are you dancing in a crowded club amidst a sea of celebration? Are you dancing with a giant chicken, or with one you love more than your own heart? Do you dance in gratitude for those who have come before? Or do you dance for those who will carry on? Do you dance for yourself? Do you dance for others? Do you dance for us? Do you dance for the whole world? What is your dance? Let's end with a scene from a movie. No, not A Chorus Line or Footloose. Actually, a British film called Billy Elliot. Perhaps some of you saw the film. Okay, hands up. Who saw the film? Okay, that's pretty good. It's about a son of a very poor coal miner in County Durham, England, who discovers ballet, as he calls it. And through an odd chance, he gets an audition with the Royal Ballet School in London. The interview seems like a total failure, until one of the members of the panel asks, "Billy, what does it feel like when you're dancing?" Billy looks blank. And after a while he says, "Don't know. Sort of feels good." It's sort of stiff in that, but once I get going, then I like forget everything and sort of disappear. Sort of disappear. I feel a change in my body, like there's a fire in my body. I'm just there flying like a bird. Like electricity. Yeah, like electricity. whatever fills your body with electricity, let it be your dance. Amen.